Hey guys, welcome to the Field of 68 YouTube channel. If you like what you see here, hit that subscribe button and you'll get more college basketball content just like this. Let's talk about Kansas versus Houston. I want to start on Kansas because it feels like consensus is, T.O., that this is the best team in college basketball, right? I think everyone's kind of agreed to that. We're kind of getting to a point where I'm looking at them and like, all right, they have a really great starting five, but their two best shooters
out of this one.
No, but it's not as the best team, but just as like, okay, is it really obvious, or is it more, them, Duke, Purdue, Houston? There's a bunch of teams that are all really, really good because, and I'll make the argument to you. They don't really have that much of a bench. It's like Nick Timberlake and then a guy that was a walk-on at Missouri and a freshman coming in from Australia. Like that's their bench, right? And then you have your two best shooters are the two guys that would be involved in all your pick and rolls in Hunter Dickinson and DeJuan Harris. Like, is there going to be enough floor spacing? I don't know. I guess my question is it Kansas versus the field in this league as much as it is like Kansas is probably the best team, but Houston's right there and Baylor's right there and Kansas State ain't that far behind and Texas ain't that far behind.
Go ahead, John. I'll let you take this one first because I talk too much.
Okay, I mean, but I say, I'm gonna say yes. I do think it's Kansas versus the field because I do think that we're grasping for straws a little bit when we're trying to break down Kansas's potential deficiencies, and I do think that this year in this league, like other than Houston, I don't know if I trust anyone to win the league. The fact is Baylor's young. I mean, they've got questions to answer here. They had turnover. I think they're going to be quite all right. I think they'll be a top 25 team. But, how good will this group be defensively? I love the addition of Rayj Dennis. I love watching him previously at Toledo. I thought he was an outstanding scorer. How does he transition into the Big 12? And you bring in Jaden Nunn from VCU. You've got Jakobe Walter, who we're all excited to watch. But the fact is, this is a group that said goodbye to Adam Flagler, Keontae George, LJ Cryer, and Flo Thamba as well. Baylor said goodbye to a lot. So, I mean, I'm looking at them and I'm saying, I don't know how much I trust them to win the conference. Texas, do I love Max Abmas? 100%. But the people down in Austin behind the scenes, they looked at their Big 12 schedule. The Big 12 did them no favors as they're an outgoing member. They knew exactly what they were doing, right? Texas doesn't get Kansas in their home building. Texas has one game against Kansas this year. It happens to be at Allen Fieldhouse. There's a reason for that, and the Big 12 made that very clear when mapping out their schedules for the two teams that are leaving for the SEC. Things are set up for Kansas to win this conference because I'm looking at the fact that Houston does not have Marcus Sasser anymore. Houston has good players, and Houston should be able to weave it together and be a top 10 potential team. But we don't exactly know if LJ Cryer, Damian Dunn, and Jamal Shed, how great they're going to be in January and February. I think they can evolve and continue to mix and be great in March. But I'm sorry, I'm not betting against Bill Self working with Hunter Dickinson, having his point guard DeJuan Harris, having Kevin McCullough and KJ Adams. And I got to tell you guys, I don't think Nick Timberlake's getting enough love nationally. This kid is a relentless competitor, and he is a dynamic sharpshooter. He makes shots. And in the Kansas system, in any system it works, but at Kansas, Bill Self takes his best shot makers and puts them in a position to be great. I think it's Kansas against the field, and I'll take Kansas.
Robbie D, I'm going with Johnny F. It's Kansas versus everybody. And I really like what Houston's put together. And we know what kind of culture they bring in. Sampson's done an absolutely tremendous job there. LJ Cryer is going to be good. I'm a fan of Damian Dunn. That all being said, it's Kansas. Hunter Dickinson, there is no better player, coach, match than those two. What have we said for the last 3 years we've been doing this podcast? There's nobody more creative at getting post touches for his 5-man than Bill Self. Well, Hunter Dickinson's now that 5-man. They're not messing around with David McCormick, and that's no disrespect to him. He's just not Hunter Dickinson. So it's like they're going to be able to score almost at will at times with that size advantage, and there's enough back there behind them to where you don't need but 7 or 8 guys if you stay healthy. And that obviously that hinges on a lot. Something happens to Hunter Dickinson, knock on wood, you know, the things change. But I think their shot making is going to be fine. DeJuan Harris is an underrated winner. That's what he is. He's a winner. That's all he does. That's all he's ever done is win. So I'm a massive fan of his. Kevin McCullough, if he improves a little bit, great news. Also a terrific defender. They have what they need, and you just can't bet against Bill Self. And he seemed, whenever you guys did an interview with him, I want to say over the summer, Rob, you and Jeff, like he seemed, I'm not going to say the words reinvigorated because his passion never really waned, it seemed like, but coming back from what happened at the NCAA tournament, listening to his voice as he was talking about the upcoming season, I'm picking Kansas against everybody else.
Yeah, he definitely is out to prove something.
Pick the field.
Big news. The Almanac is officially back. The most exhaustive and comprehensive guide to the 2023-24 college basketball season is available for pre-order now. If you go to cbbalmanac.com, link is in the description below, you can pre-order for just $15.99 or 20% off the sticker price. The format is going to be a little bit different this season. Instead of an 850-page PDF, you'll be getting access to the full site with league-by-league PDFs available for download. The preview will be live on September 20th, so you have until then to be able to get your pre-orders in. So for insight for all 362 Division I teams from their head coaches and the experts that cover them, make sure you hit that link. Well, no, I in a situation like this, I'm always going to pick the field, right? Like if you're going to say, if you say
you don't believe that,
yeah, I do.
You don't believe that,
yeah. I think you have to take the field in a situation like this in a league that's as good as this. I do think Kansas is the favorite, and I would have them ranked number one. But if you're going to say Kansas or the field, I got to pick one of them. I probably would take the field because someone might get a share of that title, and I think Houston is very, very good. I do think it is interesting that I don't know if you saw his quote from the press conference after the ruling was from the IARP came out, but he was like, now we got something to prove. Like we have the guardrails are off, right? We're off the chain. And if you look at what they've done since this came down, they've won like 4 Big 12 regular season titles. They won a couple Big 12 tournament titles. They made a Final Four in 2018. They won the national title in 2022. They're preseason number 1 right now. They would have been the favorite to win the title in 2020. Like, what is Kansas? How much better can you get than that? Right? How much better can you get? Where are they going to go from here?
We're actually going to get, if they want to, I guess 5-star kids, but he's flourished with getting the 40 to 70 guys. So I don't know where he goes from here. He's found a formula that works.
Yes, he's found a
formula.
Well,
where do you go from here? You try to build a what Villanova did under Jay for those couple of years, 2016, 18, what could have happened a couple of years ago if Justin Moore doesn't go down with a season-ending Achilles injury. I mean, now you're sitting there saying all the pieces are in place to win national championships, and you've been able to win 2. So now can you sit here and say, how do we make it more? I mean, that's what you're targeting here, right? I think that Bill Self's in a position to enter into the category of, everybody talks about him being a gangster and all this stuff, and we know it's out there, but the fact of the matter is this: he was able to avoid anything major with the now defunct IARP. You said it, Terrance. He knows how to build he can get any kid he wants. He can get any kid he wants. He's got the luxury of, he's got the best of every world. And in a world where a lot of coaches have hung it up, he's got a leg up on every other coach, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I mean, there's nothing that he can't do. Why not? Why can't Bill Self become a 4 or 5-time national champion? And the next step is that maybe in 10 years, when we put together a college basketball Mount Rushmore, that you have to say Self's name there. Right now, what are the names you have to say? You have to say Krzyzewski and you have to say Wood. Then it's subjective. We could all come with different arguments for different people, right?
Yeah. On a college basketball Mount Rushmore, I think you have to say Pitino. I would make the argument that you have to say Pitino.
Okay, you have to say Pitino. That's 3. You only get one more. Somebody would argue Calhoun. Somebody
Dean
would
Smith.
argue what?
Dean Smith. Yeah.
Dean Smith. Somebody would argue, somebody would present a case for Roy. I mean, there's cases that can be made for a bunch of different people. In 10 years, Bill Self could remove all that and say, yeah, I'm the greatest of all time.
Yeah, I think he's got to get at least one more, maybe two more. Thank you for watching the Field of 68. If you've enjoyed what you've seen here, hit that like button, share this link with your friends, or check out the description for some other places that you can consume Field of 68 content.